for Hariram was a forgotten man now, out of most lives and minds. After comforting their daughters, the couple rushed to the little shrine in the corner of their bedroom. They lit a lamp, burnt a bunch of incense sticks, and offered prayers for the peace of the wandering soul. They prayed for the safety of their daughters. The silence around their house felt unnerving. The students were busy preparing for the next day's exam, and there wasn't the usual bustle around. Neema loudly and continuously prayed to keep the restive spirit at bay. She could barely give attention to her cooking. As they sat down for dinner, Raj expressed, "Neema, let's just keep quiet over the incident. There is no need to spread panic among the students. Most will not believe us anyway." Neema nodded. There was hardly anyone here with whom she had shared that kind of rapport except with Mrs. Sharma, the principal's wife. But if Raj was insisting, there must be a good reason for not disclosing it. Unless the ghost appeared to more people, it may be a good idea to keep it a secret. The next few weeks went by smoothly. There were no unwanted visits, no airy visitor. The dread and dismay that the uncanny visit had caused the couple slowly began to fade from their lives. The routine at the training center went on undisturbed. None except the couple had the knowledge about a wandering spirit among them. The examination at the school were over and the results were declared. The students prepared to go home, the first year batch on annual vacations, whereas the graduates would soon begin jobs. The weather was warmer than the previous month. Pa decided to organize a special treat for his students and a farewell for the outgoing batch. After some deliberation, he came to the conclusion that nothing would be more appealing to the young folks than the Indian cinema. It was very rare for the residents of this far-removed mountainous region to be able to watch a movie. The nearest cinema hall was in Shimla, not easily accessible to all. He spoke with the director of the public relations department and he agreed to send his mobile cinema van, complete with a screen projector and spools of the latest Hindi film Aankhein, starring Bharat Bhushan and Nalini Jayawant. He would also send along his technicians to set up mini cinema hall for a day. When the announcement was made about the show, there was an air of excitement in the campus. Though the movie was to begin after lunch at 2, all students arrived from their hostel by 10 in the morning. As soon as the word spread that the cinema van had arrived, they requested the canteen owner to prepare early lunch and he happily obliged. He didn't want to miss the show either, so a picnic in the lawns before the movie got added to the entertainment package. By 1:30, a big crowd had assembled outside the makeshift cinema hall. Word had spread in the 2-mile radius and many families arrived uninvited for the show, so the movie was running a full house. Past containment was marred by the fact that Ma wouldn't be joining. She had developed a severe headache and had declared her inability to come. Another missing member was Rahul Vaidya. Her infant daughter was running a fever and she had decided not to risk exposing her further. The machinery developed some snag and the movie show could begin only by 2:30. Once the black and white movie began, the excited chatter instantly died down. Although the area around Neema's house was never a crowded zone due to the presence of the student community, it was seldom that still during the daytime there would always be some kind of activity, sounds and laughter around. Today an overwhelming silence hovered on the region like hushed mist over a calm ocean. Ma swallowed a paracetamol tablet with water and decided to take it easy. She made herself snug inside a quilt. Soon the medicine took effect and she was fast asleep. A kilometer away, Neema fed both her daughters. Chitra had been restive since the morning. Her fever made her cankerous. Veera was playing with her toys. It was a lovely summer afternoon with a cool and pleasant breeze blowing gently. Neema opened the window to allow fresh air inside her bedroom. A fleeting memory of the airy incident of the last month crossed her mind, but she immediately tossed it out. Hadn't they prayed ardently for the peace of Hariram's soul? She once again joined her hands and said a quick silent prayer. But the loneliness depressed her today. She felt left out. She wanted to watch the movie. She had only seen 2 movies in her lifetime. Neema heaved a deep sigh and withdrew from the window. Since Veera was up and playing, she couldn't lie down to rest even though her back felt stiff. There was some stitching left to be completed. She had been stitching dresses for her daughters. She kept the sewing machine on the table and sat down to work on it. An icy draught of air entered her room through the window. She shivered a little. The wheel of the hand-operated sewing machine continued moving in circles. The needle went up and down to attach the small bodies of the frog with the skirt. A sudden dimness in the light made her wonder if it was getting cloudy, declaring an end to the divine summer season of Shimla. Her mind kept wandering from one thought to another. Her hands deftly kept on stitching the dress. A stray dog enjoying the late afternoon sun in the porch suddenly whined, breaking her thought process. The whining became distant. The dog had rushed away. Had someone heard it? "How are you, Mem Saab?" the voice greeted from her window. "I have come to take Veera with me." Neema's hand froze at the wheel of the machine. The tic-tac of the running machine slowed down. The wheel continued to move for a while and then gradually stopped. The profound silence added to the shock. A chill was running down her spine. She couldn't dare to raise her eyes to look at the visitor. From the corner of her eye, she noted that Veera had stopped playing with her toy. She was gazing at the window and smiling. She had recognized the visitor. Then the child slowly got up and began to move towards the window with her arms extended. On an impulse, she glanced at the window. Hariram wasn't like the last time. He was ghostly pale with his eyes sunken into two large sockets. His attention was focused on Veera. A soft smile played on his lips, an enigmatic smile. Her baby was now just 4 feet away from the window. Neema screamed and jumped as if she had received 1,000-volt currents. She rushed, grabbed Veera and pulled her back. Neema lifted her up in her arms. She darted towards her little baby calmly sleeping in her cot. Snatching her up, she ran towards the door. She undid the latch with a jerk. Barefoot, she dashed out and into the absolutely desolate exteriors. In 10 seconds, she was running away from her house, her howling daughters tightly clutched in each of her arms. She knew no help would be available here today. She rushed straight towards the institute building. Sprinting up the narrow pathway, she reached the broad, dusty road. Veera was now clinging on to her and had stopped crying, but the small baby had been rudely woken from her sleep and was frightened at the abrupt and rough handling. She was wailing her lungs out. Neema was breathless, but she didn't slacken her pace. She reached the uphill path that led to the institute building and her salvation. As she began to climb it, she slipped over a twig and lost her balance. She fell on her knees, however, prevented her daughters from getting hurt by supporting them with her elbows planted firmly on the ground. Her knees and elbows were severely bruised. She remained mindless of the injuries. She didn't even realize that she was badly hurt. With superhuman efforts, she sprang to her feet again. She threw a quick glance behind her. A cloud of dust that she had produced was thinning. A shadow was clearly visible behind the dust screen following her. She muffled her scream and ran with all her might. On and on she raced till she reached outside the building. She stopped there for a moment, for she could hardly breathe now. Her head was spinning, a severe pain tightened her chest. She took a few deep breaths to steady herself and instinctively glanced to her left, towards the path she had just traversed. The ghostly figure of Hariram stood at the edge of the path, expressionless and somehow vague now, almost translucent shadow of his original self. She shrieked and dashed towards the door. With both her hands engaged, she was at a loss how to open the door. It was then that she sensed it, a sudden pressure on her left arm and a strong jerk where she was holding Veera. She tightened her grip on her daughter. "Leave her alone," she screamed, and banged the door with her head. The door was not bolted. It swung open and she stumbled into the reception area. She couldn't maintain her balance and crashed against a table, her waist taking the blow. There was no one down here, not a single person from the office staff. She rushed up the staircase but stopped halfway. She couldn't go on anymore. Her waist hurt badly, her lungs were bursting, her arms were stiff from exertion. She couldn't hold her elder one any longer. She needed one hand to take the support of the railing. The child understood and clung on to her, giving her a free hand. Holding on to the railing, she pushed herself up and up, one step at a time, with all her might. With the last bit of her strength, guided by her maternal instincts. The creepy scream had woken Ma up. She still lay in bed, wondering if she had been dreaming. She was unsure. But her headache was gone. She felt much better. She looked at the clock. It was close to 5. The movie should be getting over shortly anyway. It was also time to go to the kitchen. Children would come home hungry. It was then that she heard a desperate knock on her door. Didi, Didi, please open the door. Didi, quick, please hurry. Ma recognized Neema's voice. Why was she screaming and rasping? She sounded so awfully panicky. Ma jumped out of the bed and ran to open the door. The moment she did that, Neema swooned and fell unconscious in her arms. Ma managed to grab Chitra and prevented the baby from falling on the hard floor and getting badly hurt. Ma intuitively shut the door and locked it. She then put the baby on the divan and rushed to fetch water for Neema. Her condition frightened her. Something terrible had happened. When she returned, Neema had regained her consciousness and was looking around with her eyes wide open. Veera sat clinging to her mother. Neema was wheezing and trembling. She appeared so frightened that even Ma was shaken. She hadn't ever seen such intense fear in anyone's eyes. What had gone wrong with poor Neema? Perhaps she needed a doctor. Here, Neema, sip some water. It will make you feel better. Neema accepted the glass of water in her shaking hands as Ma rushed towards the door to call for help. Please don't open the door. Neema could barely speak. Her hoarse, desperate whisper was terrifying. Ma halted and turned back. What was outside that had so badly frightened Neema? Didi, don't go anywhere. Don't leave me alone. Neema cried. Ma was confused whom to pacify, the baby, who was hysterically crying and howling, or Neema, who was sobbing and looking at her with utter helplessness. Ma returned from the door. She picked up Chitra in her arms and tried soothing the baby. Are you well, Neema? What happened? Neema swallowed a few sips of water, nodded slowly from where she sat on the floor, resting against the wall. Didi, Hariram had come to my house, stood outside my window. He wanted to take Veera with him. He's dead, isn't he? Ma couldn't even nod. So shocked at what Neema was stating, she simply stared at her. Where does he want to take my baby? Neema's sobs changed into hiccups. Please don't let him take my baby away, please, she pleaded, and grabbed Veera to hold her tightly in her lap. Ma was by now breathing rapidly, her heart almost jumping out of her mouth. Neema raised her voice. Didi, he had followed me here. He is here outside. Ma became stock still. She instinctively glanced at the window. Dusk had begun to fall on the landscape. A few stray dogs suddenly yowled. A murder of crows rose and flew past the window, fluttering and cawing. Just then, with a loud report, a window pane of the room cracked. Ma shrieked louder than Neema and then loudly began to chant the Gayatri mantra in a shaky voice to keep the wandering spirit from entering her house.